Hi, this is Alex Lecing. I have a master's degree in anthropology and a passion for writing and the social sciences. I doodle while discussing anthropological concepts and other things. For this video, we'll be hand lettering the words "Anthropology is the study of what makes us human," and I'll be drawing a little skull. I'll link my references in the description box below. I highly recommend checking them out for yourself. Let's get started. What is anthropology? So that's the question we have for this particular little drawing session. And, well, to start with, the name itself means the study of people. Anthro means human, and logos, or ology, I guess, means the study of. In the US, anthropology is divided into four main fields. Biological anthropology, which studies the way that human bodies change, evolve, and are affected by our cultures. And then there's archaeology, which studies material cultures, which is to say the physical things that we tend to leave behind. Archaeology is a lot more past-focused than many of the other fields of anthropology. So when you think about archaeologists, you probably have in your head people like, sadly, Indiana Jones and Lara Croft. And they're not exactly very good representations of archaeology because, let's face it, they were looting important places that belonged to other peoples. But that's a different ethical matter that we can talk about in another session, maybe. And, to get back to those four fields, the third field is sociocultural anthropology, or simply cultural anthropology, which studies, of course, the cultures that people have and the ways that these cultures make us different and similar to one another. And linguistic anthropology, which looks at how language is used, how language changes, and how language affects who and what we are as a human species. And, of course, there are very many other subfields of anthropology: cognitive anthropology, forensic anthropology. I could go on and on. But, well, one of the questions that we have to ask if anthropology is the study of people is, what are people? And anthropology tries to answer that. Biological anthropology will say, well, people are Homo sapiens sapiens, and Homo sapiens sapiens are related to other species of primates, like, for example, gorilla, which is the scientific name for gorilla, by the way, which is really cute, I think. And Pongo pygmaeus, which is the scientific name for the chimpanzee. Again, really adorable names. They're so cute. Speaking of which, primatology is a subfield of biological anthropology. And in primatology, one of the most popular examples of primatologists is Jane Goodall, who's done a lot of great work helping to conserve chimpanzee habitats in the Gombe in Africa. And to move on, when we talk about the study of people in archaeology, for instance, we're talking about the study of people's pasts. What did people leave behind? What evidence do we have of who we used to be? Archaeology is really, really interesting, and it's a lot of hard physical work because it does involve quite a bit of digging underneath the hot sun, looking for physical evidence of the things that our ancestors used to use, the animals that we worked with or ate, the remains, like our bones, the food that we ate, and a lot of other stuff. And if archaeology talks about our pasts, cultural anthropology looks at our present. It looks at the different cultural groups that exist in the world right now and tries to see how we're similar, how we're different from one another, and how these things, our environment, our communities shape who and what we are as people. And of course, this will involve going out into the field and talking to people and hanging out with them and sometimes even working side by side with them. There's actually a lot of overlap between cultural anthropology and linguistic anthropology because, of course, culture is facilitated by communication. And communication, how do we do that? Through language, which is something that so far has been something unique to the human species. Arguably, other animals like dolphins and other cetaceans might have language as well, but right now we're not at the stage where we can know what that means yet. And linguistic anthropology looks at how language shapes our cultures, how it shapes our minds. In all of these different subfields of anthropology, the question of how does this make us people, how does this make us human, is at the very bottom of the anthropological project. But anthropology as an academic discipline has its origins in colonialism. In Anthropology, the Basics, a textbook on anthropology, Peter Metcalf, a University of Virginia professor, says that anthropology can be seen as an outgrowth of the vast travel literature that accumulated in European languages following the great voyages of discovery of the 15th century. End quote. Now, when they say great voyages of discovery, let's face it, what they actually mean is great voyages of hella lots of murder and rape. And truth be told, the study of other people, or anthropology as it eventually became, was used to justify a lot of the nasty things that happened during the beginning of the 20th century. Now, that's going to be the subject of another video some other time, but for now, let's just say that during the age of exploration, which is to say the age of colonialism and colonization, there were a lot of travelogues, a lot of accounts from quote-unquote explorers who went to parts unknown and talked about all of the exotic things that they saw. And people in the academe at the time collected that information and analyzed it, and that was the earliest form of anthropology, a kind of armchair anthropology. Now, early in the 20th century, that changed. Physical scientists, physicists like Bronislaw Malinowski and Franz Boas entered the field of anthropology and decided, hey, we want to do things a little more scientifically, and they actually went out to the places that folks wrote about and recorded empirically, quote-unquote empirically anyway, the data that they'd collected. And in a way, that sort of methodology continues to be a huge part of anthropology as a whole, especially cultural anthropology. Today, anthropology continues to ask questions about how and what it means to be human and what being human can be. Questions like, what will humans become in the age of AI? How will we evolve to deal with climate change? And how should we evolve to deal with climate change? How do existing cultures that have the capacity to work harmoniously with nature continue to do so? Today, anthropology actually asks us to move past what it means to be human and really demands that people look at how we can be in a world, be human in a world that is shared with other beings. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Anthropology might not necessarily be the wave of the future, but I think that studying ourselves as humans in a world that is shared with non-humans could be an important way for us to see how we can continue to survive. Because, let's face it, things aren't going very well for us, and a lot of it is our own fault. So, we gotta face ourselves, and we have to face the world. And I really do think that anthropology can help us do that. Well, that's it for today. I think I'm gonna start ranting if I don't. Anyway, I tried to condense things to their most important points, and if you disagree or think I missed something, please do let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're at it. And I'll see you next time. Stay curious!